The story of Victoria Eugenie of Battenberg is not just the story of a queen. It is the story of love that defied empires, a crown that came with a curse, and a woman who paid the price for choosing the heart over the throne. Her life moved from glittering palaces to quiet exile, from fairy tale romance to cold loneliness, and from royal admiration to whispered blame. She was born a princess, became a queen, and died far from the country she once ruled. This is the forgotten, misunderstood, and deeply human story of Victoria Eugenie of Battenberg, the exiled queen. Before she ever became a queen of Spain, Victoria Eugenie was simply known as Ina. She was born on October 24, 1887, at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, surrounded by royalty but never quite belonging to the centre of power. Her father was Prince Henry of Battenberg, a minor German noble, and her mother was Princess Beatrice, the youngest daughter of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. Being Queen Victoria's granddaughter gave Ina royal blood, but her parents' status placed her slightly on the margins of Europe's royal hierarchy. Ina's childhood was shaped by two powerful forces, privilege and limitation. She grew up in royal residences, traveled across Europe, and had access to elite education, yet she was constantly reminded that she was not as important as other royal children. Her father died when she was only 8 years old, leaving her mother deeply attached and overprotective. Ina grew up shy, polite, and reserved, often overshadowed by more glamorous cousins like the future King George V and Kaiser Wilhelm II. Despite this, Ina possessed something that could not be ignored. She was elegant, graceful, and quietly intelligent. She spoke multiple languages, had a calm presence, and carried herself with a dignity that drew attention without demanding it. Few could have imagined that this modest princess would one day sit on one of Europe's most unstable thrones. Her life changed forever in 1905 when she met King Alfonso XIII of Spain. Alfonso was young, handsome, and impulsive, already ruling Spain in his own right since birth. He was immediately captivated by Ina. For him, it was love at first sight. For her, it was a mixture of excitement, fear, and destiny knocking at the door. But their love was controversial from the very beginning. Ina was Protestant, and Spain was fiercely Catholic. She was not from a reigning royal house, and many in Spain believed she was not worthy of their king. Worse still, Ina carried something far more dangerous than political controversy, the genetic shadow of hemophilia. Queen Victoria was a known carrier of hemophilia, a disease that affected male heirs and could destabilize royal dynasties. European courts were deeply aware of this risk, and Spain was no exception. Alfonso was warned repeatedly not to marry Ina. Politicians, doctors, and even his own family begged him to reconsider. He refused. Alfonso chose love over caution, and in 1906, Victoria Eugenie converted to Catholicism and became Queen of Spain. The wedding day was meant to be a symbol of unity and hope. Instead, it became a dark omen. As the royal carriage moved through the streets of Madrid, a bomb was thrown from a balcony. The explosion killed and injured dozens of people, including soldiers and civilians. Miraculously, the king and queen survived, but Ina's wedding dress was splattered with blood. The message was clear: her reign would begin in violence. From the very first day, Spain rejected her. As queen, Victoria Eugenie faced enormous challenges. Spanish court culture was harsh, conservative, and openly hostile. She was criticized for her accent, her manners, her upbringing, and her foreign origins. The Spanish people saw her as an outsider who did not understand their traditions or their suffering. Then came the greatest blow of all. When Ina gave birth to her first son, Prince Alfonso, it became clear that he suffered from hemophilia. Another son followed with the same condition. The disease everyone feared had arrived. King Alfonso blamed Ina. What had once been passion turned into resentment. Alfonso became distant, unfaithful, and cruel. He openly took mistresses and humiliated Ina in public and private. The Spanish court, already cold, became openly hostile. She was no longer just foreign. She was cursed. Ina withdrew into herself. She focused on charity, healthcare, and nursing reforms, particularly supporting the Red Cross and modern medical practices in Spain. Quietly, she became one of the most socially active queens Spain had ever known, but her efforts were rarely appreciated. Her marriage deteriorated beyond repair. Spain itself was falling apart. Political instability, social unrest, and rising Republican sentiment weakened the monarchy. Alfonso's decisions as king made him increasingly unpopular. When the Spanish monarchy finally collapsed in 1931, there was no dramatic resistance. The king simply left. Victoria Eugenie left Spain not as a queen adored by her people, but as a woman blamed for everything that went wrong. Exile is rarely glamorous, and Ina's exile was no exception. She lived mostly in France, separated from Alfonso, isolated from the royal world that once defined her. Though they never officially divorced, their marriage existed only on paper. They lived separate lives, bound by duty but divided by bitterness. Her children suffered deeply. 2 sons died young due to hemophilia-related complications. Others faced troubled marriages and political danger. Ina carried the quiet grief of a mother who watched her family fall apart while the world blamed her for it. Despite everything, she never lost her dignity. During World War II, Ina lived cautiously, avoiding political entanglements. She remained deeply religious, reserved, and private. While other royals sought attention, she faded into the background, becoming almost invisible to history. Yet her bloodline did not disappear. Victoria Eugenie was the grandmother of King Juan Carlos I, the man who would later restore the Spanish monarchy after Franco's dictatorship. Ironically, the woman Spain once rejected became the bridge through which the monarchy returned. In 1968, after more than 3 decades in exile, Ina was allowed to return briefly to Spain for the baptism of her great-grandson, the future King Felipe VI. It was a quiet, symbolic moment. No grand apology. No public celebration. Just a woman returning to the land that once crowned her and then cast her out. She died in 1969 in Switzerland, far from the Spanish throne she once occupied. Years later, her remains were transferred to El Escorial, the burial place of Spanish royalty, finally recognizing her place in history. Victoria Eugenie of Battenberg was never a powerful ruler. She did not shape wars or command armies. But her life reveals something far more profound about royalty and power. Crowns do not protect hearts. Love does not guarantee happiness. And history is often cruelest to women who carry burdens they did not choose. She was blamed for a disease she did not create, rejected by a nation she tried to serve, and exiled from a throne she never truly possessed. Yet she endured with grace, silence, and resilience. The story of Victoria Eugenie is not just about monarchy. It is about sacrifice, loneliness, and the cost of choosing love in a world ruled by politics. She reminds us that behind every crown is a human being, and behind every exile is a story history almost forgot. If you enjoyed this deep dive into royal history and untold stories of power, exile, and destiny, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode. Let us know in the comments which royal figure you want us to uncover next, because history is full of stories waiting to be told.